right, a story that I found really inspirational about a client that really talks about what we do as an organization. It was when I first joined PAALS, Palmetto Animal Assisted Life Services. So it was during the first day of team training. We had a gentleman who was a veteran, and he just broke at one point during his service. So he was no longer able to go to stores or go on family vacations or go out without really having a lot of anxiety about it. So the first day of team training, he didn't know what dog he was getting. And our tradition is we put the client in the middle of the room and we open the door and kind of reveal the dog. And I could probably tear up now. Lolly walked out, and it was love at first sight. Just, they locked in on each other, and she's never looked back. She never looked back at her trainer. She never looked back at any of us. And now, great story is he can go to stores. He's independent. He can actually live again. And he stopped by, it was probably about 6 months ago, and was heading to his granddaughter's kindergarten class to read a story with his new partner, and it was a story about how a service dog can change someone's life. So it's really all about that independence and that confidence, knowing that you have your partner with you to be able to go out and live again and experience life in a much happier place. So that, to me, was one of the most inspirational stories, and it was one of my first, so it still gets me. Like, I don't think there's ever a dry eye when our clients meet their dogs, because they know, and we know, it's the perfect fit, and it's going to be just this beautiful relationship. So that's probably one of my favorite stories. So a little bit about me. I joined Palmetto Animal Assisted Life Services in November of 2022. I had a long career working for a major corporation and then moved to nonprofit work in 2011 and knew I would never go back to the corporate world. So as an empty nester, my kids had all left home, and my oldest moved down to South Carolina. And I thought, I need to be near her because my other daughter is in the military, so they move around so much. But in my looking for a job and knowing what I wanted to do with my future, because I'm a psychology major and have my master's in psychology, I wanted to work with people and really help them, and I just knew there was going to be something out there for me. So when I met Jen Rogers, the founding director of PAALS, and we interviewed, it was just one of those serendipitous moments where I think I found my new home. And the bonus of having these amazing professional trainers train our service dogs, and for us to be able to work with our clients and help our clients and find that perfect match for them was truly a dream come true for me. So much so, I'm now getting my doctorate and want to further pursue working with individuals and just help them lead a more fulfilled life. So truly, this is a dream job for me, and it was all because my oldest daughter decided to move to South Carolina that I ended up here. So PAALS has been serving the community since 2006 and actually became a nonprofit in 2007. So it was founded by Jen and Chuck Rogers out of a desire to help individuals, knowing that there's so much evidence out there and so much research showing what a service dog can do to help an individual lead a more enriched and fulfilled life. So they started out of their home and grew, and now we're in this beautiful building, and our mission continues. It hasn't changed. Our mission is really to empower and enrich individuals with varying disabilities. Our focus has always been on PTSD, both kind of military, first responder, and civilian, as well as individuals with mobility needs, individuals with autism, and we also have facility dogs that are out there working with professionals who help other people. So to see our dogs in so many different environments and situations, you just see the mission come to life every day when you see our animals out there working with either their handlers or in their roles with their facility placements. So a little bit about the programming that our organization is involved in. It really kind of is broad and hits a lot of different areas. So we have our school PAALS, where we go in, and currently we work with Longleaf Middle School and their students there in their zoological program, and we do interactive programming with the kids, and they learn all about service dogs, even to the point of what we look at when we're breeding the dog and why we choose certain dogs, to our prison program, which is wonderful. The first prison program was in 2009, and with COVID, everything shut down. So 2024 was the first year we were able to bring it back, and we're currently with Wateree Correctional Facility, and we are teaching inmate handlers how to train our service dogs, and that's really multi-purpose. It teaches them a different way of approaching and problem solving in a way that they may not have thought of before, and it gives them a sense of accomplishment and responsibility, knowing that everything that they're doing with that dog is helping to further that dog's future and their potential placement with a client. We also do Prisma PALS, so we go to Prisma Health, we work with occupational therapists, and we infuse the dogs into the sessions with the therapists, and it's amazing to watch the kids, because they didn't want to go to therapy, they don't want to do the exercises, but as soon as you bring the PALS dogs out, they get so excited. And I've seen a difference personally, because we've been doing this program since I've joined the organization, and we have kids who've been in this program for the last 2.5 years, and the growth that I'm seeing is absolutely astounding. Some of the other programs that we do, we go out in the community, we do presentations. I do presentations for civic groups, universities. I go to Piedmont Technical College and work with their future occupational therapists, go to USC, and we've done business discussions on what it takes to run a nonprofit, to just being involved with community events and just being a part of the community and supporting other things that are happening, because I think as nonprofits within the greater Columbia area, if we support one another, we're much stronger working together, and we all have the same mission of helping people and really spreading the word about the good work that we do. So the number of people that have been helped, and perhaps another way of looking at it is touched by our dogs in training, is thousands. It truly is, because part of our training process for our dogs is taking them to different events or different stores or different areas for those exposures, so they can hear different noises, be around different people. And we go to the zoo, we go to the symphony at the Koger Center, we go to the college, we'll go to the State House. We take our dogs everywhere. So every interaction with someone is, something that the dog has touched. They've touched that person, they've interacted with that person. And even doing, our sessions with Prisma Health and the kids at school, or our summer camp programs that we offer, there are thousands of people that interact with our dogs every year. In fact, each individual dog during their 2-year training period probably touches 1,500 people. So times that by the 23 dogs that we currently have in training, it's a lot. So, we love that we can take the dogs anywhere in our community and interact with our community and share everything that we're doing. So the process for selecting dogs and matching dogs with clients is really two separate things. So we are part of Assistance Dogs International, which is an organization that holds us to very high standards. It's an international organization, so they really set the tone for training best practices, ongoing education, which is critically important for all of our staff, there's a breeding cooperative that's part of that. So when we're looking to obtain dogs for our organization, we go through the breeding cooperative, or we have breeding mamas of our own. But we do look for very specific things. If a dog comes available in the queue, we work in, I want to say, dog currency. We don't exchange money for dogs because we all contribute dogs to the breeding cooperative. So if I have a mama and she has 9 dogs, we may keep 2 and put the rest out into the breeding cooperative, which gives me the credits for future use, because we don't want the same dogs from the same mom all the time, though some of them are fabulous. But we do look for different things. If they say a dog's ready in the queue, we have a database that we can go into, and we can look at the parents and look at other dogs that came from those parents and what the success rates were with those dogs, or different personality traits, just different things that we're looking for. And the same goes for if I'm breeding one of my dogs and they suggest a mate for the dog, we again go into that database and look at success rates with using this dog, how many dogs have been placed, what are the personality characteristics. So there's a lot that we look at. We look at a lot of the genetics and the different traits from different lines of dogs, knowing that we only work with labs and goldens and glabs, which is a blend of a lab and a golden, because we have a good success rate with those dogs. But truth be told, for a dog to be a full service dog, they have to be stellar. We call them the Ferrari of dogs. They don't startle, they are present always with their handler because they know they're working when they put that cape on. So probably less than half our dogs make it to full service, which puts them into 2 other programs that we have to offer. One is called Pets with a Purpose, and that dog can go to a family that has a family member who has a special need, doesn't require a service dog but would benefit. And we also have the same program for veterans. So around us are all the pictures of these programs, and we probably have more we call them change of career dogs, because they're still helping somebody. They're just not as a full service dog. So then during that 2-year training period of the dogs, they start to kind of show us what they're wanting to do. We have some dogs that are very task driven, so they want to do things. That might be a mobility dog because they want to open doors, they want to open drawers, they want to retrieve things for you. Or we have more warm and fuzzy dogs who want to kind of cuddle with you, have more personality to want to be close to you. So those may be our autism and PTSD dogs. So they really show us what they're going to do. We don't make our dogs do anything that they're not comfortable doing, and that's all part of our positive training. So when that dog does make it to the point where we think we're going to match them with a client, which is the most exciting part, we do what's called client and waiting sessions. And there's a whole process that our clients go through where they have to be vetted out by our client services committee. It's a pretty lengthy process, but we also make sure that they're going to be a right fit for our program. Once they've been approved, then we bring them in for what we call client and waiting sessions, or speed dating with dogs. And they'll meet 3 or 4 different dogs and maybe have 10 minutes with each of them. And we're looking for connection. We're looking for how that dog looks with them and how they respond to one another. So that's why we introduce, several different dogs, and we may do it over and over again. We may bring them back for 3 sessions with different dogs just to see how they look, because we want that match to be right. For us, that is so important, to see that connection and see that that's going to be a good match for that person. And it's really exciting when you start to see this dog's perfect for that person, which we saw today. We had 2 client waiting sessions, and we were like, I think we have this figured out. But it's a process. We don't just say, here's a service dog, here's a client, here you go, good luck. We don't do that. It's a very long process for a reason. We want to get it right, and I would say we get it right probably 99.9% of the time. All right, so my involvement with PAALS And seeing the work that we do has really changed my perspective on specifically service dogs. You know, so many of us have pet dogs, and they're awesome. I mean, my gosh, I couldn't live without my little rescue dog. She's my heart. But there's a difference. This service dog can do so much for an individual. And an interesting thing, and when we first place a dog, no one else in that client's family can interact with that dog for 6 months. They can't feed them, they can't pet them, they can't do anything because we want the dog to bond with the client, with the handler. And what starts to happen is it becomes very intuitive for the dog. The dog will start to know what that person needs before they can even cue it. So the cues are, our dogs learn over 72 cues during their 2-year training period. And then when a client comes to team training, we may do some specialty cues that they might require, like a mobility client who might need a toilet flushed for them, because now they can independently go to the bathroom without asking someone to go in with them. How great is that? I have a client, this is her 4th service dog, and she is independent for the most part. Her dog, Hera, can help get her up out of bed, can help pull socks off, can help, you know, with clothing, can open the dryer, can pull a hamper with dirty clothes or clean clothes, flush the toilet, pull drawers open. I mean, just knowing that our dogs, and that's just one of them, they're out there helping someone be more independent, that has completely changed my perspective. And it's funny, when I first got here, I'm like, oh, these dogs are so big, and they're so hairy, and there's hair everywhere, and I don't think anything of it now. I love, and I truly mean I love every one of our dogs because they have different personalities, and you can just almost see what they're going to be able to do and what they're going to be able to accomplish. I think one of our other success stories that really resonated with me and made me change my perspective on a dog is we have a facility dog that works with the sheriff's department, and his name is CJ. He's placed with the lead mental health and resiliency director, and he works with her to work with other people that she's giving counsel to. So she works with over 900 deputies, and no one wants to go into her office. But as soon as CJ arrived, and I saw it firsthand because I was sitting there with her one day, and they just popped their head in like, hey, is CJ here? Sure, come on in. And all of a sudden, CJ goes to work. He's doing pressure cues to lower someone's blood pressure, slow their breathing, and all of a sudden they start talking. And they're sharing things that they maybe wouldn't have shared if they didn't have CJ in there just calming them down and allowing them to be more grounded and open up the conversation. So he's become a conduit to these really difficult conversations that, you know, these men and women who are on the front line with our sheriff's department, they don't want to talk about. But with CJ there, they'll talk now. And it's a really amazing thing to see. And I wish I had 10 of them. You know, the Columbia Police Department has also applied for a dog. So now people are starting to see the benefit of this can really help our staff. This is something that we need in our wellness program for our staff. So it's not just individuals that we place the dogs with, but groups of people, especially when it's a facility placement. So yeah, my perspective on this has changed, and the amount of respect I have for people who are willing to take on the process of getting a service dog and go through the training. I think I commend them because they're taking that first step to having a much more independent life, and they have that partner with them always. So it's pretty cool. So PAALS really is all about culture and creating a culture of inclusiveness and a community. So one thing I've always said since I've joined the organization is once you're part of our organization, you're part of our family. And we mean that. So volunteers come in we give them all the information and support that they need, no matter what they're doing for us. If they're helping us with outings, or they're cleaning our facility, or they're grooming our dogs for us, they're a part of the whole process. And part of that onboarding is letting them know, yeah, you might be over here cleaning kennels or helping us sanitize yards, or you're grooming the dog, but the end result is this over here, and you're a very important part of that. So we always, and I make sure I always take it back to what the end result is going to be. No matter what you're doing for us, no matter what you're doing as a volunteer, no matter what you're doing as a staff, you're part of the bigger picture of the impact that we're making in our community. Our marketing coordinator every day, with everything that she's doing, the messages that she puts out there on social media, they're touching someone and telling our story. Our development manager, with doing fundraising and raising awareness, they're again really creating that community of, this is why we're raising the money, because this is what we're doing over here. I've always said, we do so many things in the community. We do outreach, we do special events, we do all kinds of fun things to create awareness, but at the end of that rainbow is our client who gets their service dog, and they can live that beautiful life. And hopefully that's the legacy that we're leaving as an organization. We're touching our community, we're touching individuals within the community, we're just raising awareness. And I think that's a long legacy that will always be around, because again, we're here to help people, and it's all about our clients. It's all about the people that we're touching in our programming. So everyone's a part of that. And so the message always is, every day, no matter what you're doing, no matter what your role is within our organization, from volunteer to staff to weekend foster, which is amazing, you're part of that bigger picture. And when we have our graduation at the end of the year, because we always do a graduation in December, everybody comes because we celebrate together. Every person in that room had a part in that dog being placed. And it's amazing. Our fosters who have fostered the different dogs, they're so excited. They cry like, oh my gosh, they were in my house, I fostered them. I know this dog when they were a puppy, and the other foster's like, oh, I had him when they were a teenager. So it's this great storytelling, and we actually do a dinner with our clients here. It's a covered dish, and they get to sit with all the fosters and volunteers who had a part in that dog being placed with them. So again, it's all about the family, and our family is very large and very extended, but that's at the core of everything that we do. How we engage clients and their families is they're included right from the start. So if we have a client who's made it through the process to get to the first interview, anyone who lives in that house comes to the interview. So they're involved from the very beginning. They get to hear our questions, they get to ask us questions, we get to know more about the dynamics of the family, especially if there's children or grandchildren in the house, and explaining how the process works. And we found that that's really important, because they're part of the process to begin with, so they know what the expectations are, and they know what the handler is going to be going through, so the family can be more supportive of the process. Because as I said, that first 6 months, no one can touch that dog but the handler. So the family hearing that and understanding why that needs to happen is really important. And also part of the process is we do home visits. We want to make sure that the home is safe for the dog, that it's going to be a good environment for the dog to be in. And again, the family's part of that. We get to see everyone's bedrooms and every aspect of the house. So we do get a little up close and personal, because we really want to understand the full picture with the client and their family. And then as the client's going through team training, they of course come by themselves, unless it's a younger client and they have a co-facilitator, then they both come to team training. But the family's kept in the loop as to what's happening. And then afterwards, what's really unique, I think, about our organization is each client that's placed with a dog is also given a client liaison. So a staff member is their person, and it's our role to check in on them, and they know they can call us anytime, and we can go to their house and do additional training and stay connected with them. So that is a service that we offer for the lifetime of the placement of that dog, because it's important for us. Someone's needs may change, their life may change, they may go through major life changes. We've had someone who started out as a PTSD client and then ended up moving into some mobility needs. And so when she got her successor dog, she and her husband together came to everything. We talked about it. We knew what the needs were, and he knew what he had to do to support her. So it was a really great process, and he was involved from the beginning. Another client, their health changed, and they needed a few more cues to help them manage everyday life. So our liaison and a trainer went out to their home and worked with them one-on-one to do that continuing education. So again, we're part of their lives during the whole process. And even when that dog is retired or they no longer are actively working with a dog, they're still part of our family, and we stay in touch with them. So once, and I've said this before, once you're part of our family, you're always part of our family. Our clients are that important to us. One thing that's really unique about our organization as well is we don't charge clients for the dogs. So personally, our organization incurs, over the 2-year training period, probably about $50,000 in costs to raise and train that dog. And we don't pass that on to the client. The only thing we charge our clients for is the 4-week team training. And that's where they come in here and we teach them how to allow the dog to do the work that they were trained to do for them specifically. So they get to learn all the 72 cues that the dogs already know. So it's kind of fun. The dogs know what they're supposed to do and the clients don't. So we spend 4 weeks or longer with them, however long it takes. So we do charge for that. That's $5,000. However, if you are a first responder, military veteran, we don't charge for the team training. We actually have a fund that we fundraise into called the Rob's Best Friend Fund that covers all of those candidates. And we just started a new mobility fund to be able to do the same for our mobility clients, because not everyone can arrive here with $5,000 to invest. So we don't let that be a roadblock. They can fundraise, they can do a payment plan. We just want them to be matched with that dog. And it's always been successful for us. A unique thing about us as well is we do retain ownership of the dog. So the dog goes with the client, they live with the client, it's their dog. But if something happens, heaven forbid, and we need to get that dog back, we can, because we still own the dog. Now when the dog's working life is over, the client has the option to adopt the dog. Again, no cost. They just sign papers that the dog's adopted, and they're going to live out the rest of their life as a very happy family member who no longer is working. So it's really a great process that we have, and because we're a smaller organization, we feel like we can get our arms around our clients and we can take care of them in that way. A lot of organizations will turn out 100 dogs a year, 150 dogs a year. We probably average 5 or 6, just to put it into perspective. But it's important for us that we have that personal touch and we are involved with the client, start to finish, with them, their family members. I mean, it's just that important for the success of that placement. All right, a little bit about our dogs and the training process is we have 3 full-time professional trainers, so they engage in ongoing and continuing education to sharpen their skills. And again, that's part of that larger umbrella of Assistance Dogs International. It's part of our accreditation process. And we are the only accredited organization in the state of South Carolina. So that's an important distinction. And again, those trainers go through consistent training. So our dogs train for 2 years. We start our dogs at 8 weeks if we've gotten the dog from the breeding cooperative and it is, it arrives here. We start 8 weeks And if we actually whelped the litter, we start as early as 3 days with just noises and touching paws, maybe putting like a little Q-tip between their little pads so they get used to different textures and different noises. But it's a long training process, and it's a curriculum that we put the dogs through. So much like we all started in pre-K and kindergarten, and many of us had the opportunity to go through college, our dogs start the same way. They start in pre-K and they go all the way through college, which is their advanced training. So it does take 2 years for a dog to be fully trained, maybe a little bit longer. Maybe a dog needs a few more months, but during that time we can really start to see what the aptitude of that dog is and what it really wants to do and where its strengths are. And all of our training is food-based. We use their kibble, and it's all positive reinforcement. So the kibble that we use is their regular diet, and we take it out of their breakfast. So our dogs don't become big, happy, heavy labs. It's important for us that they maintain a very healthy weight because they'll work longer. But we take those treats out, and that's what we use all day when we're training the dogs. And again, it's all positive reinforcement. It's all very, engaging with the dog. Our dogs never hear the word no. The worst and harshest correction that we give a dog is a very stern uh-uh. So it's a happy thing. We want them to work. We want it to be a happy environment, so we don't use any aversive tools at all. We just use flat collars, regular leashes, and we have a beautiful success rate with that. So every day is a little different with our dogs. Usually on Tuesdays and Thursdays we do outings, and that means all day. We're taking all the dogs at different times out into the community. We could be going to a Starbucks, we can go to a Chick-fil-A, we might go to a grocery store, we might go to Home Depot, we go to the zoo, we go anywhere with the dogs. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, it's a little more scheduled where each dog has training time, and the length of the training will depend on how old the dog is. If it's an 8-week-old dog, you're working with them for maybe 10, 15 minutes and they're done. And you can tell when a dog has checked out and they're done for the, that training session. But it will vary, and we use the whole facility for training. So trainers will bring dogs into my office so they get used to being in an office setting. They'll take them for walks around the neighborhood, and they're always working on the cues. But the important thing is we do the cues in the order of the curriculum. We never try to train ahead and push training, because then you can really overtax the dog and they can shut down. So we just build on it. So you learn these cues and you master these cues, and then we build on those cues until they've moved to a more advanced level where now they're working with wheelchairs or picking up canes or working with walkers and rollators. So it's a slow and steady process, but it's also been a successful process for us. So everyone thinks 2 years sounds like an outrageous amount of time, but by 2 years that dog has matured. It's gotten past the puppy phase, gotten past the adolescent stage, and it's ready to settle in and do the work. So it's a great process. And again, our trainers are amazing. I'm impressed every single day when I watch our lead trainer teach a dog to do a new cue, and the process that she uses to get the dog to finally get it right. We use clickers, we use yes, to mark, things that they've done well, and the food is also the reward when they do it well. So I'm impressed every day when I come in and see what they do to shape our dogs. My hopes for our organization and everyone that we touch is that we continue to grow and we continue to spread the word on the good work that we do and the impact that it can have on an individual, and always advocating for individuals with disabilities and giving them a place where they can grow and be successful. So I'd love to see more of it. I'd love to expand our programming. I'd love to have even more prison programs, go into more facilities. I'd love to get into more schools. So I think it's going to be growth, but that's going to be slow and steady. And one of our sayings is slow is fast. We don't teach anything quickly. We don't expect quick results. We want to really embed the principles of everything that we're teaching and everything that we're doing so it has a great foundation that we can build upon in the future. So our goal is to move to a bigger facility, have some more land, potentially have a place where our clients can stay when they come to do team training so they don't have to get a hotel room and worry about that. So, our goal is just to continue to grow and continue to expand, and who knows, maybe we can expand the types of dogs that we train in the future. But there's such a need right now for the areas that we train for that I think we're in a really good place, and I think we're just going in a real positive direction. So I'm very optimistic for the future of not only our organization and the staff, but for everybody that we serve within the community. I think one thing, and it's hard to choose one thing that I'd love people to know about PAALS that they might not know, is the reach that we have with our community and the work that we do in our community. I think people see our facility and they know we train dogs and they know the dogs live here, but they're not always sure of anything else that we do. And I think it's important for people to know we're out in the community working with different organizations, working with different schools, working with different groups to spread the word about what we do and the importance of advocating for the rights of those with disabilities. Because I can't tell you, every time I'd kind of do an end-of-year graduation or end-of-year event and we're talking about our accomplishments, even last year I had one of our board members who's been involved since the beginning, and she's really involved. She goes, I didn't know we did that. She goes, I learned something new. So to me, that's awesome that somebody learns something new that we do. So I think that's it, is just knowing the reach that we have in our community and everything that we do outside of the walls of this building to support everyone who lives in the greater Columbia area and beyond, because we service clients. If you're a mobility client or facility client, you can be up to 230 miles away from us. If you're PTSD or autism, 130 miles. So that's a pretty big geographic area. So we do have clients in Georgia, we do have clients in North Carolina. So I think people think we're just here in Columbia, and we do a lot in Columbia, and we love Columbia, but we also love all the other areas that we get to serve. So I think that's probably it, just the reach that we have.